Today, we're going to talk about how Morgan got himself from 0 to 20 doors at the age of 26. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Invest Iowa. Today, I have Morgan with me, and we're going to talk about what it looks like to get started in real estate at a young age, right? We were talking about the 20 doors that he has accomplished. He's always going to say that he wants more, blah, blah, blah. But I just think that we need to make the exception that if you get to 20 doors at 26, you're doing something right. So thank you for being here, man. Appreciate your time. Let's try to dig into some of the things that took you to where you're at right now and walk me through who you are. Want to get to know what is it so special about you that got you to 20 doors.
Hey, Sebastian, thank you for having me. Yeah, a little bit who I am. I'm Morgan Ehrenzeller. I started getting into real estate about when I was 17 years old. Right now, I'm 25 actually, have 20 units. Goals to get 100 by the end of the year, but we'll see how that will come. So a little bit about myself. When I was 14 years old, I started a business-to-business SaaS solution. Ran with that through right until I went to college, sold that off, plowed all my software profits into cryptocurrency at the time. Bitcoin was trading for about $50 a coin. I saw the vision, I saw the technology, I believed in it, put all my poker chips in one basket, so to say, and then watched the basket. And then from there, I went to college, used that to fund my college, liquidated some at my last semester, and then plowed that into more real estate. So that's a little bit who I am, how I got to where I'm at, and what got me there.
Okay, when did you start it? So you started your software as a service company at what age?
I started it at 14.
Okay, at 14. And
Mm-hmm.
then how long did it take you from, starting to build it from scratch to selling it?
About 5 to 6 years. There was some gaps in there as well. I had some other jobs as well. Your typical jobs. I worked at a Wise store, a cashier. You're just your grocery store. I was a pizza delivery boy as well for 2 years. So I had a little bit of mix of different tasks and different hustles that I was doing at this time too.
Gotcha. Okay. So from that period, you developed a bunch of cash. Was this the game plan of just put something in the reserves to hit the game of real estate running?
Right. So, I made myself a promise when I was 14 years old. I wanted more for myself, my future family, and to provide more for my family. So that's what got me and drove me to behind creating the SaaS solution, the software. From there, I want to say I got lucky, but I think the more you work, the luckier you get and the more opportunities that come your way. So I really got ahead of the curve on the cryptocurrency wave. And then from there, I started amassing a decent amount of money, in my opinion, for a teenager. And then I started asking myself, okay, Morgan, what should I do with all this money? I'm making more money than my parents at 16 years old than both of them every day. So I don't want to take advice from your average person, right? I want to take advice from the guys who made it, who are wealthy, who are rich, because it's one of those ones where you're going to take advice. If you want a Ferrari, you're going to take advice from someone driving a Chevy or someone driving a Lamborghini or Ferrari, right? So that's kind of the mindset and mentality I went into it with. And then literally every wealthy and rich person I knew was involved in real estate some way, shape, or form. So that's when I really transitioned into, okay, let me pivot a little bit. Let me start learning on real estate. And then I just started stacking my education and got more educated in it. And I started seeing the vision at an early age and the potential behind real estate and the wealth that it could accumulate. So that's a little bit about how I really got to the real estate wave, was just pivoting because every wealthy and rich person I knew was involved in some way, shape, or form in real estate.
Okay. So you took your money out of crypto and then you started deploying it into real estate assets. Is that what the case?
Yeah, I still have some in crypto, just for a little bit of diversification, and that's what helped me get to where I'm at. So I still am into cryptocurrency heavily and other Web3 projects. But yeah, that's really what got me into got me off the ground into the real estate.
Why did you get out? Why did you get out of such a big position into cryptocurrencies?
Why did I get out?
Yeah.
Good question. So I seen, markets come and go, the ups, the downs, the hot markets, and everyone chasing the big thing. And, I figured that I was in a position that 99% of people would never be in this position or had this opportunity. So it was a mixture of, okay, I have all of this wealth, but it's in one asset. And at the time, I mean, still, there's so much debate. It's so still new. I just want to diversify a little bit more and get into the real estate just because, like I said, everyone I knew that was wealthy or rich was involved in real estate. So I knew that there was something about this real estate that I had to get my feet wet some way, shape, or form. So it was more or less, I just took the advice and followed the money and just pushed myself off the cliff to dive into real estate as well.
Okay. What was your first property purchase look like?
Yeah, so my first property purchase, I was 17 years old. It was a duplex, needed total renovation. I bought it from my grandmother. She helped me out a little bit. I bought it for $20,000. Granted, the entire thing needed a rehab. And this area is not the best area. So when you're hearing $20,000, like I maybe got it 20% under market value for the area. So nothing, it wasn't no Taj Mahal by any means. So I bought that one when I was 17. The one side of it had a fire in it from way back in the day. And the other side was just wrecked from her trying to play the landlord tenant game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first one. And I put $5,000 down on that. And then she let me make payments every month. So every month I was tossing anywhere between 1 to 3 grand, what I could afford. And then I ended up actually paying it off within a year.
Okay, so did you flip that? Did you just burn it, or what was the strategy on that?
Yeah, great question. So actually, I really didn't do much with that property until I graduated college. I didn't want to take in all the income and then for some reason it screw up my student loans. So I was very careful with that because I didn't want to, collect this income and then it offsets it where Morgan's not getting as much money for his student loans and then he can't finish out his degree because he doesn't have, the money or the financing behind him to do it. So I really didn't do much with that until right when I graduated college, and then I ended up fixing it, and I have it rented now to a family. But yeah, it's going to be a long-term hold. I'm going to own it forever. It's just one of those ones, keep it in the family.
Gotcha. And then, so for that property, was that the determining factor that this is actually what you wanted to do? How did the second property come across?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I was graduating, it was spring 2020. COVID was just really popping off. I was graduating college spring 2020, and I had a bunch of extra money left over from cryptocurrency, my side hustles in college, flipping Supreme, shoes, cars, dogs, all types of different stuff. So I had all this, good hunks of money. I think I might have had like 15 or $20,000 stashed. And all my friends were, getting ready to buy the new cars, right? When they get a little bit extra money, that's what everyone wants, the new car. But I knew that was the wrong move because every year you own a car and put miles on it and they create a new one, that car just tanks in value. So I was mentally strong enough and, resisted that willpower to go buy the flashy stuff that everyone else around me did. I think a lot comes from I wrestled for 13 years, so that definitely gives me a strong foundation on work ethic and mental toughness. So that had a huge play in it. But anyway, fast forward, I was in my last semester of college, went to a foreclosure auction in my college hometown. I was the only one that bid, got this house for $10,000. Now, granted, it needed a full renovation. So I was there weekends, hanging drywall, doing what I could with myself to help save money and then subcontracting that work out. I ended up putting about $17,000 into it. So I was in it $27,000 roughly, we'll just say 30. for closing costs and all the other stuff. But anyway, that was my first solid foundation when, because I had a lot of equity in that house because I didn't have a mortgage.
Right.
So what I did with that was I went and took a bridge loan out, pulled $77,000 of equity out, and then I took that 77,000. I went and bought another two houses outright and put another down payment on a third house. So I actually was able to scale relatively quick. I would say my first year quicker than most, just because I had this big chunk of equity in that house that I bought when I graduated college.
And houses are cheaper over there, right? The average price is not as expensive.
So this one was in Bloomsburg University. The first one I bought was in a non-expensive area. Now my
Gotcha.
other ones that I have now are in better areas, better rents, better ARVs. Because as you play this game, you start to develop. I started, okay, we're gonna screw Lewistown, PA. Like rents are low, the ARV isn't high. As you develop education, you start to click together where your money is better allocated.
That makes sense.
So yeah, so this, like most of all of them after that, I don't invest in that first property area anymore. Just because I know the ARVs aren't as high, the rents aren't as high. It comes with worse tenants, the household income's lower, the whole nine. So I don't go back to that area to invest personally. But yeah, I would say, I mean, average houses right now are 200, $300,000 in the Northeast PA region where most of my portfolio is.
Gotcha. So that third property kept the ball rolling. And then how do you acquire your fourth property?
Yeah, so that one got the ball rolling. I came across two houses together for 44,000 in Dalton, Pennsylvania. Now this is a really good area, especially for schools. Granted, both these houses needed entire renovations. One was a 4-bed, 2-bath, the other a 1-bed, 1-bath with a garage on it attached. Separate properties, separate parcels, but they're beside each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I got these two, bought them together for 44,000. And then I went to another foreclosure, got them off of Facebook Marketplace, I believe. And then I got another house at another foreclosure. I picked it up for 13,000 and they financed 75% of the note. So I was in it less than $5,000 when that other one. That foreclosure one I picked up is worth about 175,000. That 4-bedroom, 2-bath turned into a 5-bedroom, 2-bath. That one's worth about 250,000 now. And the other 1-bed, 1-bath with the garage attached is worth about 150, 175,000 right now as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So wow, that's impressive. That's pretty good. How do you find those deals?
Yeah, so I think it was just a matter of, it's one of those ones where you get what you put in, right? I mean, I was obsessed. I still am obsessive with my markets that I invest in. So like I know every single house that's for sale, the bedroom, bath, the square footage, the bath count within a 2-hour radius of me. Every single house. There was not a house that wasn't up for sale that I did not know about. So it's just a matter of doing my market research, putting in the work, going places other than, Zillow, Realtor, and then the common places, going to a lot of networking events. It's just a matter of putting your name out there and analyzing, I'm analyzing over 100, 200 deals a day coming into my inbox. And then from there, I just have to handpick which ones that I believe have potential and move them further in the underwriting process.
Okay. That makes sense. That took you to your fourth and fifth. And then how do you get your sixth and seventh?
Yeah, so from there, cryptocurrency was, I noticed, I believe it spiked up, Bitcoin spiked up really high right around this time frame. And I remember back from 2017, when the crash happened, and I started picking up on trends in cryptocurrency. And one of the trends I picked up was, okay, every other altcoin and every other coin follows Bitcoin's path. If Bitcoin goes up, they go up. If Bitcoin goes down, they go down. They all tend to follow Bitcoin. And I noticed from in 2017 when Bitcoin popped off, Ethereum popped off about a week, 2 weeks later, went soaring. So I picked up on this right before it started soaring. So I plowed $10,000 into Ethereum. Fast forward about 4 or 5 months later, exited at 60,000. because I noticed this trend from in 2017. So I turned 10,000 into 60,000 in about 4 months, and then liquidated some more of that and bought my other house, that house, and another foreclosure, picked that one up for 14,000.
14,000. Okay, walk
Mhm.
me through that foreclosure. I also do foreclosures, and they're very interesting. They're complicated, but they can be very, very profitable if you do them correctly. What was your process with that foreclosure?
Yeah, so this one was, it needed a new roof. The inside wasn't, it needed some updating, but it wasn't actually god awful. Like solid, like solid mechanicals, stuff like that. The HVAC was almost good, had, some radiators that needed replaced, but just overall a solid property. And, I had the experience and the education where I can generally get a renovation done for less than 30, 40, 50,000 is a very, very high number if it's more of a luxury. And I, quick comped out some after repair values. I'm at like 150, figuring I need 20 to 30 in it. So, I mean, just doing some quick calculations. Okay, get it for this, put this much in it. It's worth 150, 2 to 3 times my money, right? So that's what I did with that one.
But did you have any conversations with the seller? Did you have any conversations with the bank?
No, I did not. I did not actually got that one off of auction.com. So it was very seamless process. It took about 2, 3 months, give or take. But yeah, I didn't really have any conversations with them at all.
Okay, well, yeah. When I thought about foreclosures, I thought you were talking to the sellers and stopping the auction date, but you
Mm,
actually bought it from an auction.
yes.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the next properties?
The next ones. So from there, I want to think which ones did I acquire next? I ended up getting two outside of Pittsburgh, which was a subject to deal,
Okay.
and I ended up getting them for 109,000, about 40,000 worth of renovations. But both of these houses, after repair value, are about 200,000 a pop. So that one was another, home run. And it was sub two, so I only had to come up with 15 grand down, and then we renovate it. And then, we're turning 100 after the renovations, we're turning 150 into 400,000. So what I did with that was I started realizing, okay, Morgan, um, at this point I'm starting to run out of money. So what do I do next? What's everyone else doing? So I start, studying people who are 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead of me. What are these guys doing, right? What are they doing to keep scaling?
Right.
And then I read something about with JP Morgan and how he amassed all of his wealth by using other people's money just because he was intelligent enough when investing. So that really clicked with me. So then this was really part when I started the syndication, becoming more of a syndicator in real estate as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started putting some feelers out there, just started posting on social media what I'm doing. And this attracts me a lot of people. Everyone's interested. Everyone, I mean, most people, if you tell them, hey, do you want to get into real estate in the future? 8, 9 times out of 10, everyone's going to say, yeah, like I'd love
Yeah.
to. So everyone wants to get in it. And it's just a matter of who's willing to take that extra step and actually do it.
Yeah.
So this was really part when I started becoming more of a syndicator and raising money for deals. So from there, I got another one in my college hometown I just picked up about 6 months ago. That was another seller finance. It's right beside a hospital. I picked that one up for 12 grand, 6 grand down, 6 grand finance over 1 year. So working on renovating that one as well too right now. But a lot of them that from this point forward are seller finance, subject to, and big value adds. And from there, I'll break down, get reports, return on equity, annualized rate of returns, cash on cash returns, and I'll go and I'll present the deal to wealthy people I know, and then they'll fund it, I'll run it, I'll be the operator, and then 6 months later, we'll refinance, pay them back all of their money that they had invested in it, and then from there, we'll split it 50-50, or we'll continue to keep building up this business and growing this business and scaling it like I did my other one.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the roadmap from starting to about that 1 to 10 units. And then after about 10 to where I'm at now, there's a lot of seller finance subject to and real estate becoming a syndicator for that scaling ability.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. So that's the biggest thing, the biggest lesson I think is first you started managing your own properties, you started investing in your own properties, and then after you learned, then you started bringing other people's money into the table.
Yeah. And I, the only reason I really feel comfortable about that is because my growing up, my dad was a carpenter. So I was always around, renovations, constructions, things like that growing up. So I would say that gave me a lot of confidence as well to start accepting money because I never was a part of this world before where people were throwing me money to invest for them.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend that until you have maybe 10 properties under you where you're going and taking other people's money and investing it. I think I think it's foolish. I don't think it's smart. And I think you have so much to learn in those first 10 properties about renovations and what can go wrong to potential, what to think about. I just think it's not wise to start taking people's money unless you have at least 10 successful properties done and a good track record.
Right. That completely makes sense. So now on the present, what are you currently working on? What are you currently teaching yourself how to do? What strategies that you implement in your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, I'm really teaching myself more about funds, becoming a GP, a general partner in real estate trust, becoming a fund manager, a bigger real estate syndicator. So that's what I'm doing now. Been reviewing a lot of deals, got pools of limited partners behind me. They all love my story. They love my drive. And it's just one of those ones where like I tell them, okay, you can, invest in these other trusts or these other funds. And they're always like, Morgan, why would I give, a 25-year-old this money versus a 35, 40-year-old person, right?
Right.
And my response to that is, I'm 25 still. I don't have a family. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I'm not taking 5 vacations a year. Do you think that a 45-year-old with, the wife and 3, 4 kids, think he's working weekends? No. Do you think in his evenings he's reading books, studying podcasts, going to networking events, putting in 16-hour days? So I try to use that as my advantage to flip the script on them, so to say,
Right.
which has been working out well. And obviously the track record helps a lot as well too. But
Right.
that's more or less what I'm doing now to keep scaling and growing bigger and bigger and bigger.
What are some of those hard learned lessons?
Along the way,
Yep.
yeah, there's definitely a few. So, I mean, everyone in real estate's going to make a mistake. Anyone who tells you they never made a mistake is full of shit. And
Yep.
it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you can only educate, just have to educate yourself so much because so when you make these mistakes, they're not as big and as big of a hit to you and financially. So one of the biggest mistakes I made was I didn't grab a mentor immediately in this. I thought, I was more of the solopreneur, not the entrepreneur. Thought I had to do everything myself. And then, after I hit about property number five-ish to seven-ish, I realized like, Morgan, you need a team, you need to start collaborating with like-minded people because this is not a solopreneur type of game. So I would say that was a big mistake trying to do everything myself and thinking that I knew it all when really I did not know hardly anything compared to what I know today. So I think overlooking that step and thinking, okay, just because I had a successful, handful under my belt, there's so much more to learn. And even to this day, I mean, 20 properties later, I'm always seeking mentors, always seeking new education. So I think that's a big thing. A big mistake I did was not grabbing a mentor because I would have saved myself a lot of money in the mistakes that I made. And renovations and locations that I chose. Like example, that first property I picked up, if I would have allocated that money into the Northeast PA region, it probably would be, you know, 200, $300,000 more on my return. But I didn't know that because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have someone to guide me. So I would say that's one of the big mistakes I had, was not grabbing a mentor, just having the solopreneur mindset about I have to do this all myself.
Right. Okay. Did you screw any deals because of that lack of knowledge?
Knock on wood, right now, so far, no, I haven't had any deal that I regretted. Um, no deal that I regretted. Everyone made me money in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I would say no so far. But like I said, it's not a matter of if, it's going to be a matter of when.
Right. Yeah. And then what do you expect for in the future on your business?
My business, so I'm definitely pushing for 100 units this year. Some may think it sounds crazy, but when you get into the fund world and the syndicating world and you have tens of millions of dollars behind you as part of your capital stack, you can go far, very far. So I'm considering liquidating some of these single family houses, because then I can pour all that money as a down payment, and then part of my capital stack is the banks. So I'm really debating on liquidating them, or 1031, or liquidating them, 1031ing them into, you know, 80 unit or 100 unit, or refinancing them when interest rates drop down lower again.
Right. But interest rates are high.
They are, but I think people are taking too much of the fake news and media, because if you look at interest rates from the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, the 2000s, they're like 16%, 30%, 20%. So really, when in doubt, zoom out on the graph. So in my opinion, I don't even think that they're that high compared to what they used to be. You just have to implement the interest rates into your returns and pivot a little bit. So just because they're higher doesn't mean you can't, continue buying real estate. You just have to adjust your numbers.
Right. Morgan, what's the best way to contact or reach out to you, especially in this journey of starting syndications and things like that? Where are you most active at?
Yeah, I'm active on all social media platforms. Morgan Ehrenzeller. I definitely really enjoy collaborating with like-minded individuals, entrepreneurs, whether you're in real estate, whatever the case may be. Always looking forward to collaborating with people and seeing how we can be of value to each other.
Is it Instagram the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram.
What about Facebook? What about
Yep. On
nope?
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. You can reach me out on any of them, but Instagram by far the most active.
Leave us with any big tip that you've learned throughout your journey.
Yeah, so a big tip I would say to get started in real estate would be to definitely house hack. I would get a 4 unit, and I would get an FHA loan on that, 3.5% down. So example, if you want a 4 unit that's $500,000, most people, coming out of college, I can't afford $500,000. Morgan, what are you talking about? So the key is get 3 of the 4 units rented. Now you can use that income to qualify you for that $500,000 loan. The banks will use 75% of that. So you got to get a good deal where the rents are going to cover the mortgage and the bank will qualify you for that $500,000 loan. Live in one of the units, house hack it, have all the other units paying your mortgage. And then really the key is with this, to get in with none of your own money is, example, we'll say this 4 units, 500,000, 3.5% of 500,000 is 17.5 grand. So you're going to go into that $500,000 unit or the 4 unit, offer them full price, but you want $20,000 back in seller concession, and you want them to cover the closing costs. So now when you go to closing, you get 20 grand back. Your down payment's only 17.5. They're covering the closing costs. Now you actually just got paid $2,500 to acquire a $500,000 asset that's putting cash flow in your pocket every month. So I wish someone would have told me that when I started.
Hmm.
You can do this in college. I wish I would have did this in college as well. You can use your college transcripts to accommodate for not having tax returns. So that's one way to bypass that as well, is if you have, show your transcripts. So I wish someone would have told me that when I was 18 and then stuck with that. And then after 1 year of living in that, refinance into a conventional loan. And then you have that FHA open again. And then, in a matter of 10 years, you stacked 40 properties
Wow. Yeah, I
just
didn't
by
know that
doing
either.
it.
I didn't know you could use your transcripts instead of tax returns. That's super interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I would recommend. I wish I would have started that at the moment I turned 18.
Hmm. Morgan, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us. I think it's an inspiring story. Hopefully you get to the 100 units. We'll see. We'll have to have another podcast to talk about how you got to 100 properties by the end of the year. It's obtainable with syndication. So thank you so much for being here. Guys, if you made
Very,
it this far in the video, subscribe, hit the like button, and yeah, man, I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
thanks for having me, Sebastian.
Bye.